Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai, and welcome to a live stream of a Kōrero with local body candidates for the 2022 local body elections. My name is Ivor Jones, and my family and I have been residents of Ōpōtiki since we moved here from Rotorua in 2011. As a resident that will be voting in this year's election on the 8th of October 2022, I was interested in asking the mayoral and council candidates if they would have a kōrero with me about who they are and why they have applied for the positions they have. I work in the digital media field, and the intention of this cast is to raise the awareness of the Ōpōtiki community in terms of the characteristics and qualities of those people who are seeking to serve the community. I have spoken directly to several candidates about this idea, and a number are responsive, including today's guest, current councillor David Moore. Tēnā koe, David.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou everyone else.
A YouTube channel exists that will hold the videos of our conversations so they can be referenced in the future. All candidates receive the same 10 questions upon which our kōrero is based, which should be around 15 to 30 minutes in length, and I hope that you find it of value. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not being paid for this. I hope that you're able to share this information on so we can increase the voting rate in Ōpōtiki. I would like to welcome David, who is standing for the position of Mayor of Ōpōtiki, of which David is one of 3 candidates. David states that I would like to utilise my skills and be part of the governance team, serving as Mayor to achieve positive outcomes. Listening to the community is important to help make informed and transparent decisions that will deliver the best possible outcomes for present and future generations. Tēnā koe, David. First question for you. Who are you and why are you running in this election?
Called David Graham Tamakai Moana Moore, Toku Ingo. I'm of Ngāti Patu Moana descent. And look, I can't claim to be born and bred Ōpōtiki, but my mother is, and Ōpōtiki's always been home. So, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and brother, son. So, I'm just a normal person, but I'm very proud to be part of Ōpōtiki.
And why are you running as Mayor for this this time, Dave?
Look, I'm just so passionate about our community, and my generation, for me, I have no personal aspiration. I've achieved everything just about I want to achieve. I just want to be part of a team that's, and lead a team that is thinking of the future generations, present future, generations, and the ones that have gone passed away. So I just got a really community-focused view, and I think I've got a bit to offer, and I've had a lot of encouragement from my fellow councillors, family, and colleagues. So I thought it was time to put my hand up.
Cool. Second question, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing your community of Ōpōtiki?
Look, there's too many challenges to list that we face, and one of the biggest, when I'm saying that, we are huge rohe with a very limited number of, basically ratepayers that are, footing the bill, and we have to achieve, such a vast range of services and provide for the future and plans. So, but the challenges that really are coming our way are the changes to local government, and currently we are benefiting from some huge investment. There's so much investment, but long term, we do have to fund the ongoing costs of keeping these investments working and maintaining them. So keeping things affordable but providing for progress is the real challenge.
Is the big challenge, yeah. I understand it. Thank you very much, David. Question number 3, if elected, what do you hope to achieve by the end of the term?
Mine's just a community focused. I don't have any one particular thing I want to achieve, but personally, part of me running for this campaign is I want to be part of a cohesive team working together, and I'm talking, councillors, council staff, community, iwi, police, everyone working together, just to get the best outcomes. You can't do anything on your own.
Mm. Excellent, thank you. Question number 4. What do you think the role of local government is in shaping the future and success of our community of Ōpōtiki? You've already sort of touched upon local government and central government. What do you think the role of local government is in shaping the future and success of the community of Ōpōtiki?
Look, my view on local government is a very Ōpōtiki. It's not, if you're looking in the wider picture, there's all sorts of things that the central government want us to do, but we have to be providing these services. The bricks and mortar. The people say you should be looking after the streets and all that. But there are other things we have to be part of. There is change coming. The Three Waters is just really the start of the change. But really, it's not a one size, not one size fits all. For me, my focus is really on Ōpōtiki, but I do understand, there's different things for Whakatane, Kōrero, Auckland, so I am in touch with what they are planning in the future, and it's quite scary. And we have services here that already provide for a lot of things that they want local government to be providing in the future. And I just don't want to see competition with our local organisations like Whakatoa, Whakātu, Te Aho. There's just too many to list that are already helping in those services. So it's just, so I have a very, I have a narrow perspective. My view is just on Ōpōtiki. But I do understand what's happening nationwide.
Ka pai, number 5. What do you think is your most important attribute that you see as an asset or contribution to the council table?
Look, I have been in a different number of, I was a volunteer fireman. I was, spent time in the police. I was married and had a business when I was very young. I've been self-employed for a long, long time, and I've had to deal with a lot of situations, emergency situations, and I just, I've got a wide range of skills. I left school to have a gap year of 1 or 2 years working, but I never quite made it to university. But that was my choice, and I chose a different path, and I never regret it. But I'm always trying to learn, and so. Look, I've got a wide range of skills. I seem to cope all right under pressure, but I, know your limits and know when to ask for help.
Ka pai. This is the point where I segue into some information sharing for whānau. I do encourage people to go to the Ōpōtiki District Council website, odc.govt.nz, and click the 2022 elections button and go to your nominated candidates. And you'll see here are all of the profiles for the candidates. They needed to follow a standard profile. And here's David's. And I encourage everyone to come and have a look. There's an interesting part up here in this area here where people can declare whether they're independent or not, which has some implication for them in terms of who they're standing for. So just a bit of information there for folks. Encourage people to go and have a look. We are up to number 6. How do you envisage working with others in council, especially those who you don't agree with, David?
Look, you have to know when to, to disagree, learn to disagree with someone. It's just a fact of no one's ever going to agree on the same thing. And anyone with children or grandchildren will tell you how hard it is to agree with your grandchildren. You just have to be respectful. But you do have to listen. It's just something it's not always natural, comes natural to people, but you do learn. Having conflict is just not productive. I love the, I sometimes talk to Louis often about the, on the marae, you'll have a lot of, it gets quite heated, but you have your cup of tea and you move on and you're back at the table and your friends, and you just have to learn to let things go, especially when they don't go your way. But it's just being respectful and listening to the other person's views, because everyone's got a right to have their own view. And if you don't agree with it, well, that's, you can't change their mind just because you don't agree with it.
Ka pai. Number 7, what are your thoughts around the role of local and central government? What could be improved in terms of that relationship?
Look, it sort of touches space back on what they determine as the future of local government. Our roles are we each community knows what's best for them, or what they want to achieve. They shouldn't be told what to do. And I think sometimes, I touched base briefly on the Three Waters. I just think it was, they were saying one thing and they went ahead, and you knew all along they were going to go and do something opposite, something different. So I think you just have to know, you have, the difference is we are in the community, and they're looking after a wider community. So, we're focused on our own community. We have to take into account what's happening in other areas, and we have to work with other surrounding districts. But it's not an easy job for them. But we have to fight for what we believe in for our own community. I think the Central has a, they've changed policies that we can't change. Someone asked me, our stance on Three Waters doesn't really matter when the central government doesn't care what we think. So the roles are quite clear, but I think in the next year or two things will get a little bit. We're just not quite sure where they're trying to push us to long term. There is two different things, but they intertwine.
So how can you improve that relationship, David, during these testing times?
You have to, you need the help of the community to make their voices heard to their politicians that represent them. That's the best we can do, and make the community aware of what is happening behind the scenes. Where they're sort of steering us, and be vocal when we have to be vocal to get things done. We have had a very good relationship. The previous mayors we have had a good relationship with local government, and it's obvious with all the investment that's happening. So you have to keep up that relationship with them. So you have to push, but you can't push them away, if you know what I mean.
You have to play the game.
You have to play the game. It is, and I don't mean that lightheartedly, because a lot's at stake for a lot of people.
Like a game of chess.
Yeah, a serious game of chess.
Number 8, how would you lead your community through challenging times such as a natural disaster?
Yeah, look, I don't want to reflect too much on the bad things of the last 3 years, but I wasn't that happy with the last tsunami event. Like I say, I've worked in the police during natural disasters. I've helped in the fire brigade natural disasters, and I felt completely helpless helping people in the tsunami event. Just to give an example, I was asked to go and look for a gentleman, an elderly gentleman that the family were just a bit concerned because he didn't have a phone and they weren't sure if he had evacuated. And I live on Tablelands, and I went to the end of Tablelands Road to see if I could see this gentleman, and I was just in disbelief of how many people were on our road, because they were all up there, doing what they were meant to be doing, but they had no water and no toilets, no shade, and when I raised it, there was nothing I could do to help, which really it just made me feel a bit helpless.
Let me ask you, David, do you get the phone call, say at 2 a.m. in the morning, from Civil Defence or whoever saying, David, you as a councillor of this ward, we've just had a tsunami warning, it could be on the way? Is there anything like that?
No. I found out through Facebook, so I made the phone call to see if I could pick up toilets or water. So look, it's I'm not part, Civil Defence is taken care of. I mean, there's governance and there's management, and we're not party to that. If I think, if you ask me if I think that's right, I'll say I don't think it is. I think it needs a local flavour in there. We know where, it's just, you just need some input. I'm not saying, if you're not experienced, you shouldn't be out there doing something you shouldn't be doing. But look, if you can help, you should be helping. Touching base with the locals. I would like to see a little bit of change there. It used to be more community focused. So previous time we had floods where the police and the fire brigade were involved. So
maybe it's more of a separation of governance and management thing. That more management deal with it, because when I worked for the Whakatoa Māori Trust Board 6 years ago, the Trust Board were deeply involved in civil defence response of a natural disaster, and there was a link to the Ōpōtiki District Council, but now maybe it was at the management level rather than governance.
Yeah,
and perhaps
and I have to be honest. I've looked into it, and I can't tell. I know what you're saying, and that's how I think it should be, because we should be. We've got ability to help. Whether it be through the marae or people on tablelands might have a meeting point. You do have people without phones. That was a classic example, trying to find a gentleman, and there were so many people I couldn't find him, and I wasn't too happy with the responses I got when I asked questions. So, look,
was there a good ending to the story? Did they find the kōrero?
Oh, look, it was more than safe, but people weren't. I did raise the question, and I was told, perhaps people were up there just to have a look at the tsunami. No, they weren't. They couldn't even see at one end of the road. But that wasn't my. I just felt helpless as a councillor and as an individual, because I could only take so many to your own property. What could you do to help all those people? But I still don't know what the answer to that is. But yeah, emergencies tend to happen when you least expect them, and that's why they're called emergencies. So yeah, I'd like a local flavour in there.
It's nice to know that there's a plan for emergencies somewhere. So perhaps.
Oh, look, and look, civil defence, they probably have plans in place, but as councillors, maybe the mayor has something to do with it. I don't know, but I personally haven't had any involvement with it, which is, I'd love to be involved in helping where I can.
Kei te pai, number 9. How do you plan to connect with all parts of your community and ensure their voices are heard?
Okay, so I have a view that we have a team of 7. We're all elected by wide range of people from the different parts of the community. We actually have a representation now across the board, which I'm really proud of my fellow councillors and who they represent and their voices. And we should be using. You have to be using those skills of those around you to meet the different groups you don't interact with normally. So you just don't go rocking up to someone's door without someone taking, it's just courtesy to go and visit as many of the communities as you can, but you do need the help of everyone at the same table doing the same thing. That's, you can't go and visit everyone. It's just not possible. You've got other things, Yeah.
So I'm hearing you have your network out there, and that's gathering intelligence for you around.
Yeah. You have to, like this interview. Okay, it's one way to reach part of the community that I wouldn't normally deal with. It's something I might have to learn how to deal with. But it's just using those around you and taking on board, those around you. Look, I think you should go and speak to such and such. And you think, oh, I didn't think of that. So, it's just getting out as much as you can and listening to everyone as much. You can't please everyone, but I believe you have an obligation to at least listen and take on board concerns. It costs nothing to listen, and it does make people feel better. And there might be a solution in actually listening. So, get out and about as much as you can and use those around you to help. Just listen to as many people as you can.
Ka pai, we are at the 19-minute phase, David. Last question. Elected members must act in the best interests of their community and declare any interests that could be perceived as a conflict to being impartial. Do you have any interests that could be perceived as a conflict to being impartial?
Well, look, I don't believe I have. And sometimes something will come to the table that you'll sit and you'll think, oh yes, I have got it, and it happened to me twice in the Terranium, but I believe it's up to the honesty of the individuals on council to declare if they have got interest, because sometimes you don't know until you actually, if there's a meeting that's not in the public forum, you may not get anything until the day of the meeting, and then you're suddenly faced with something and you think, actually, I'm quite closely, may not be a financial gain, but it might be someone related to, and you just got to say, hey, look. So yeah, I've had to declare an interest twice. I've personally pulled away from, I'm not doing as much as I used to do in the real estate, just because I've been concentrating on council. So there's ways to make yourself not conflicted, but it really comes back to the honesty of the councillors. If they realise there's a conflict, they should declare it. And sometimes you might have to remind someone, say, look, I think you've got a conflict there. Just a little example was the Hukataia development, the sewage reticulation in Hukataia. So I looked at it and I thought, well, I haven't got a financial conflict there, but I do have a mother that lives in that area. So I declared it, and it turned out 2 of the councillors lived in there. One of them had property there. 2 of us had mothers that lived there. So in a way it was a conflict, but because we declared it, actually, you get advice on it, and it wasn't a conflict, except for maybe the one person that had property that was a commercial venture. So yeah, it's just one of those. You do rely on the honesty of your councillors, and like if you're not sure, just ask.
Mm-hmm. Just declare it.
I hope that makes sense.
Oh, sure. So I've served on governance entities before, and that's how we manage conflicts, is you declare it. And if a decision needs to be made, you step out of the room and the others will make the decision. So, it's quite straightforward. And I like what you're saying about just, you might not realize that it's a conflict until it's brought to your attention. You think about it, you declare it. And if any decisions need to be made, then people know.
I feel strongly too. If you have got a conflict, if it's a financial conflict or your family member's got a financial conflict, it's something we have to do on a daily basis in the real estate industry. It goes back, even extended family. You think, oh, hang on a minute, there is no conflict, but I better just declare this person, is a relation, or So it's it is quite an easy thing to do. But you do rely on the honesty of the people around you.
Well, thank you very much for your time, David, and for sharing your story as you work to become Mayor in 2022 for Ōpōtiki. And thank you to whānau for tuning in, and I hope that you now are more informed about our candidates and that this has helped you to make an informed decision when you vote on the 8th of October 2022. Thank you very much, David, for coming along. Ngā mihi.
Thank you.